Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the weekly recap number 76, your first of the new year. I am Jake Dunlap, CEO of Skaled. Many of you are still hungover, so I want you to sit back, relax, and watch some of our best clips from the year. So everyone, my 2020 vision for sales, right? Last year, I talked a lot about LinkedIn. I talked about some other trends. This year, my big trend is this is the year of the buyer.
But now it's like, look, I'm joining your team. Maybe I've sold in your space or I haven't. What keeps these people up at night? Well, how are they KPI'd? How are they measured? If you spend all your sales onboarding teaching people your buyer personas, right? And just drilling in their head, how they make money? What do these companies do? What do these people do? You know how much better sales conversations your people are gonna have? Because guess what? They're gonna learn how to talk to people's business.
Non-traditional, non-tech industries are actually really great for us, and we can actually do a lot of damage, like positive damage with them. Like we can literally move the needle for those companies so quick. So there's these companies like this small branch doing 20 and 25 million. We worked with a company out in Long Island. They were doing like 50 million. There's all these random companies. Not everything's like rapid growth tech.
Yeah, I'll try to give you an example of what we're seeing in a wide variety of different company types. I like this idea of talking about current accounts first because I really feel like it's so important. If I was an account manager today, I would make sure that I was connected on LinkedIn with every single one of my accounts, and every day I was adding value to their lives.
The companies that are gonna win in 2020, 2021 are companies that are focused on the buyer experience first. And that means how you interact with them as a brand digitally, and your digital presence is going to be just as important as all the paid media that you're running, all the lead capture that you're running. There's this whole new treasure trove that's opened up around organic that we didn't have access to before. There never was a B2B organic place for you to generate interest. There is today, and that site is LinkedIn. If you don't talk about yourself, if you don't put yourself out there, like nobody's gonna come magically pick you. There's tens or hundreds of thousands of salespeople out there, and if you don't start to think about how you're perceived by your target audience, you can't just put your head down and work in sales. You have to be willing to talk about yourself and go out and make a name for yourself.
And to do it in a way that doesn't come off as self-promotional, but it's kind of impossible to like not have some elements of that.
Well, I think who you are changes too, right? So I think like you got to really try to understand what the things are that are core. What are the things that are actually pride or ego that aren't necessarily core, you know? And as you grow, like you get married, you have kids, or just grow. What's important to you is going to change too. So
I think, look, around the holidays, a lot of people have this question, you know, how do I take time for my family, take time for work-life balance, but it's maybe my Q4 and I've got numbers to hit or I've got things to do. So for me, I think there's a couple of things. One, I make lists. If I have something, it's giving me anxiety, it's whatever. If it's at the middle of the night, whatever, I just put it on a piece of paper. Then I have dedicated times every single morning where I plan my day. How do you kind of stay in touch with people? I also think that's the good part about posting on social media is that it's more people come inbound, meaning like if I haven't caught up with someone, I'll usually get a note from them because they do see me posting or things are happening. Like there's a certain group of people that I make time for, but it's more personal. Like my network type people that I try to make time for, it's much more situational. And people just show up and expect networking to happen. Like they're not being as proactive like as they should be. There's just so much money that we leave on the table. The key is always give value, right? Like I always think, you know, I think about relationship capital. It's a bank and you always want to put in more deposits than you take out. So my friends out there, my 2020 vision for sales is the companies that are going to win, the organizations that are going to win are companies that understand you have to realign the sales process to your buyer experience. You have to make sure that you're engineering for your buyers. More and more, your buyers are influencing your sales process, your customers are, than your marketing. And so you have to make sure that you have a process for those individuals, and you have to find a way to engage with those people authentically, digitally. You don't have to necessarily be the creator of content. You need to start to make your brand, your B2B brand, a hub for people to interact with.
There's just a tap on LinkedIn. Never just purely reshare. Copy the link, add your comments, and put the link in the comments. So if you're going to do it, have an opinion on it. Yeah, I highly encourage it. But you should be producing original posts too.
It doesn't have to be content. It doesn't have to be a blog post or an article. It's like your thoughts at 8:30 a.m. Right now, we put out as a company and me, we put out, how many pieces of content do you have? 40? 30, 40?
40 to 50.
40 to 50 pieces of content a day is what we put out now. Across Twitter. Because Twitter, look, that's like 8 right there because the tweet dies almost instantly.
We have some questions about life. Joel Parent, what's up, Joel? How are you, man? You seem to have great energy. What do you do to maintain your energy on an ongoing basis? So here's the thing, and I think a lot of people need to understand this about everyone. I don't care if you're Gary Vaynerchuk or Richard Branson, whoever you are. Everyone has ebbs and flows. So I think the key is that you don't have to maintain it all 24/7, but if you're doing what you're passionate about, it becomes less draining.
Passion is what fuels you. You cannot, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you can't be all time. It's fucking impossible. If you're not like passionate, not like, no, I'm into it, no, I'm excited, like, you can't be great. You should be breaking the status quo every day of your job. Jake said to do it this way is a shitty reason to do anything. Like, I'm establishing a baseline way to do things that's informed by some stuff, but if you're not iterating on it and making it better, you're not living the values. That is actually the purpose of values. It's not some like thing we put on a website. It's so you don't actually need to ask anyone very many things to do. You just go and live those.
I hope you enjoyed this week's weekly recap, number 76. We put a lot of effort into it. We put a lot of heart and soul into this. It's been an amazing year. I want to thank everyone for all your support, and make sure to stay tuned next week. We've got an amazing new lineup for 2020, and we could not be more excited. I'm out.